As always, solving a crime involves all type of evidence, not just one. In the case of the two boys, it helps a lot that they were able to get away and provide information about their attack. The type of evidence that was found at the crime scene were footwear impressions, tape fragments, and a baseball bat. Additionally, samples from the pond soil and water, along with mud samples from the victim and the suspect's shoes, were taken to compare diatoms. In this case, the suspects were actually found within a day due to asking people in the neighborhood if they saw anything suspicious. One of the neighbors said a boy came into her house asking for something to eat because he had diabetes. Later that day, she actually saw 3 boys in her backyard, one of them with a baseball bat. And this happened to be the same one as in the photo that was found at the crime scene. They just had to find the boys, and they knew that they were on foot. So from there, it was pretty easy to do. Without that interview, it's likely that they would not have found them so quickly. So if we were specifically just looking at the botanical evidence in the case, in my opinion, more comparisons should have been made. The original case study actually did a pretty nice job of explaining that finding the 3 Eunotia species together is pretty improbable, even from different freshwater habitats. While they were doing the comparisons, they found 50 Eunotia samples from the suspect's sneaker and comparing it to the pond sediment. Additionally, they found 18 from the victim's sneaker, and the reason why only 18 samples were taken compared to the 50 is just because there was a smaller amount of mud on the victim's sneaker. With that, the population ratio showed no significant difference in the number of specimens compared. So they did a pretty good job of explaining that. In contrast with the Malamomus caudata, they found that it was actually more abundant between all of the other species and diatoms that were found, which suggested that it originated from the same locality. They also explained that it is rare to find it as the only dominant species in northeastern United States. The problem with that is that there are a lot of water bodies found in Waterford, Connecticut. Personally, I would have liked to see investigators test other bodies of water to compare, especially if there were quite a few in the same vicinity. Additionally, the boy who was admitted into the ICU was said to have fluid in his lungs from being held underwater. So should those fluids also have been tested for the diatoms, in addition to just the samples found from the mud of the shoes and then the samples from the water? So I had found a study comparing diatoms in 9 different ponds in a small area. So there is a map on the slide showing where they took the samples from. They had found 50 different diatom genre in those ponds. Only one of them actually had a much lower amount of genre found. So if you look at the chart, you can tell that about half of the genre actually in the ponds actually exhibit a different environment, which is the top half, the blue. All of the other colors show the similarities that were found. So this study does show that ponds in a smaller area could have the same environment of diatoms, and this could have provided additional information to the case, especially regarding the quote-unquote rare species that was found and used to help determine that that was the pond and the suspects were in that pond. That could potentially have actually been found in other ponds in the area, so it kind of would have been nice to see the comparison of the diatoms in the area ponds in order to determine if that was actually considered rare or if the 3 species of Eunotia were also found in the other ponds. And then here are the citations that I used.